Well, folks, we got a wee bit of election news to sink our teeth into. The Hill reports Douglas County, Nebraska Treasurer John Ewing Jr., a Democrat, has ousted incumbent Republican Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert in the latest victory for Democrats during Trump's second term, Decision Desk HQ projects. Ewing, who is also a former deputy chief of police for Omaha, will become the city's first black mayor. He denied Stothert a chance at an unprecedented fourth consecutive term in office in an election that was officially nonpartisan but featured a Democrat and a Republican facing off against each other. The city hasn't had a Democratic mayor since the year 2013, when then incumbent Jim Suttle lost his re-election bid for a second term to Stothert, Omaha's first female mayor, who has enjoyed comfortable electoral victories since then. Her closest race was in 2017 when she won by just less than 6 points. But Democrats were hopeful about winning the race and electing Ewing. The city of Omaha and the wider 2nd Congressional District is part of what has been considered a blue dot, where Democrats have found success in recent elections. Democrats have won the district's single electoral vote in 3 of the past 5 presidential elections, and they've engaged in competitive races for the district's House seat despite falling short in recent years. Both candidates focused on local issues like public safety, jobs, and affordable housing, but the race took on more of a national angle in the final weeks before the election, with Stothert slamming Ewing over transgender issues and Ewing seeking to tie Stothert to Trump. Very wise move on Ewing's part. Tying people to Trump is always a good move, especially right now, because there has been no better time, no more fertile ground for tying people to Trump than the current era we're living in. I mean, we're witnessing just a total meltdown of a presidency which is focused on putting more money in wealthy people's pockets and taking money from those in the poor and the middle class, as well as ridiculous foreign policy decisions, ridiculous freaking cuts to the administrative state and mass firings under Doge and Elon Musk, and just a total war on our Constitution. So yeah, good move there. I have to say the idea of tying your Democratic opponent to transgender issues, it's pretty overplayed, but I guess it's not the worst, most egregious thing that you could do. You could start screaming socialist and communist, and I feel like Republicans are past that point. But yeah, is this mayoral election a referendum on President Trump? We got to be careful not to overstate things. We can't get too hyped up and be all like, oh boy, look, it's the beginning of the end for MAGA. I can smell it in the air, folks. But you can kind of see that it might be the beginning of the end for MAGA. It might be. I don't know. I mean, this is so early in Trump's term and things seem so bleak. Like, what will they be like a year from now? What does the arc of Trump's presidency bend toward? Is it going to get better? It started off in 2017, not all that chaotic. And then in 2020, it reached peak chaos with, the BLM riots, the COVID mishandling, the election denialism, and just the temper tantrum over, we did win last night. And then it culminated, in January 6, 2021, with this insurrection on the Capitol. So yeah, I think Trump will become even more unpopular than he is right now, more despised. But right now, it's a good idea to tie your opponents to Trump. Tie them to Doge too. It's really unpopular. Even Republicans don't exactly like it that much. Let's keep reading here. And the race came after a series of other state and local ones that have been viewed in light of the national context of which party may have the upper hand to win the general elections in November and next year's midterms. Democrats notched a major victory in a Wisconsin state Supreme Court race last month, in which the liberal candidate comfortably defeated her conservative opponent. Democratic candidates in 2 strongly Republican-leaning House districts in Florida that same night fell short of winning, but made both of their races much closer than would normally be expected. Yeah, so those Florida races, the Republicans are like, oh yeah, the Republicans still destroyed there. So yeah, there is no blue wave. Things are not rosy for the Democrats. Trump is still popular and cool. Everyone loves Trump because Republicans did well in Florida. Oh, Republicans did well in Florida? No way, I can't believe it. Well, the Democrats did better than they usually did. So guess what? I am sorry to say, L for you on this one, Republicans, even in Florida. Just because you won the seat doesn't mean that you're not doing worse than you normally would. Yeah, and we all knew Susan Crawford was going to whoop Brad Schimmel. I'm sorry to say. But yeah, that's not a super surprising thing there. She won by roughly 10 points. Schimmel, not the worst Republican leaning, right wing candidate, but certainly not the best. And Crawford, of course, benefiting from tying Schimmel to Elon Musk. Elon Musk becoming a liability for Trump, the Trump administration, and Trump-backed candidates. And I have to say, I've noticed Elon Musk disappearing a little more. He hasn't been in the news quite as much. We're hearing more about, constitutional violations under the Trump administration and some of these issues. There's some Pete Hegseth issues with Signal, but Elon Musk seems to be taking a little bit of a break, I would say. Is the Trump administration realizing that he's a liability? Maybe. Maybe they are. They would kind of be right to realize that and kind of right to drop the guy. But, he just wants to be involved so much. He just wants to be this, always present, like, father figure to Trump and the Republican Party that's like, listen here, you salute me. I control things. I'm the puppet master. And schmooze it up with them. And yeah, he might have bitten off more than he could chew, because tying Schimmel to Elon Musk was a good strategy. And it looks like tying this mayor, Gene Stother, to President Trump was a good strategy. So is this the beginning of the end for MAGA? I don't know. They could do better at some point. But yeah, hopefully Republicans can start to return to a degree of normalcy so that we can have more serious conversations in this country. Not conversations like, can the president pardon himself? Can Trump serve 3 terms? These are ridiculous conversations that only would exist in fantasy land, or as some might say, Delulu land. We don't normally have these conversations with Republicans, with normal Republicans, people who are not obsessed with just stabbing the Constitution in the heart and, drinking its blood. No, it doesn't work that way, even under normal Republicans. We haven't seen stuff like sending people to these El Salvadorian slave camps under normal Republican presidents. Trump's first term even being one that's a little more of a normal Republican presidency. George W. Bush, normal Republican presidency. Not excellent, but a far cry from Trump's second term. So tying any Republican candidate to Trump in Trump's second term is a wise move. We saw some stuff early on in Biden's term where it was like, okay, is the foundation of the Biden administration starting to crumble? Remember when Glenn Youngkin defeated Terry McAuliffe for governor in Virginia? Terry McAuliffe was very smug and thought that he would easily cruise to victory. Virginia is a blue state. It votes blue in presidential elections, and yet they elected Glenn Youngkin. And it was like, oh, the walls are closing in for Biden. Democrat lost, and Biden got elected in 2020, and in 2021, the Democrat lost. But here, yeah, we might be seeing some of that same phenomenon. Obviously, the mayoral race in Omaha is lower profile than the governor's race in Virginia. But when people are constantly looping in Trump, and they definitely don't need to, why should a mayoral candidate in Omaha be bringing in the president of the United States? Well, the president doesn't have that much to do with the mayor of Omaha, but when he's of the same party as your opponent, it can be kind of wise. It could be a smart thing to do, even if it's not totally, on point, like whatever. They might not be a Trumper, but be like, hey, they have an R next to their name. Trump has an R next to their name. I'm just going to screech about Trump. It might actually work, even if it's not perfectly logically consistent. But should we really worry about logical consistency? Trump and the MAGA Republicans are not worried about logical consistency. So, hey, you know what, let's have some symmetrical warfare here instead of asymmetrical warfare, where we say, oh, we need to be very fair and we need to really play by the rules. And I don't care that MAGA Republicans don't care about the rules. I want to stick to my principles and I'm not going to bring in Trump here. Like, no, call them a Trump cultist, even if they're not a Trump cultist, just do it. If it helps you win, do it. Be Machiavellian, balls to the wall. Sorry for that image. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this election result. Do you think that it signals that it is the beginning of the end for MAGA? Please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. This has been The More the Merrier, and I very much look forward to speaking to you in my next video.